This newsreel is being brought to you by The Depot in downtown Springfield. Are Millersville police officers being encouraged to write traffic citations under a point-based quota system designed to track their performance? Smokey received a copy of a memo that seems to imply just that. We sat down with Millersville Police Chief Ronnie Williams. He was very generous with his time, and we went over it together. He says no, it is not a point-based system. It is just a way to measure officers' overall performance. Chief Williams told Smokey that even though a numeric is assigned to a traffic ticket for an officer, officers are not required to write out tickets and in fact can write out no tickets at all and still pass their employee evaluations. Chief Williams said that he believes the letter leaked out as a result of a disgruntled employee, and his system by no means forces officers to write out traffic tickets, and that's not part of their employee evaluation.
Yes, I did put the memo out. It's not a quota system, it's a productivity, and it's a check and balance. You have to, it's a check and balance because the officer has to come out and do his job for 8 hours. And what they do is they make arrests, they do traffic stops for traffic enforcement, they do arrests, state sites, calls, reports, and you have to have a system for a check and balance. Well, just like today, there's an officer who's been here 4 hours on shift already. He's answered 3 calls and had 2 reports, and his productivity is 4.5 right now, and he's still got until 2 o'clock to go, and he's yet to write a citation. Nobody's never been told you have to write a ticket. I mean, that's part of a police officer's job, but if you write a citation, that is also, but if you don't, you can still get your productivity. Our city attorney has looked at it and reviewed it and said it's up front, it does not violate any of the TCAs. So it's just a check and balance. I will tell you, so far this month, we have written 287 citations, traffic violations, that's speeding, insurance, all that together. There's 80,000 people that passes through this city daily. If you divide that, that's less than 0.25%. That has, on somebody, I pulled some of the stats in the past. One officer last month, he worked 19 days, counted his days off, his holiday, vacation, all that. His utilizations are 5.3, and there's 6 days straight that he, 6 days, not 6 days straight, but 6 days he didn't even write a citation. There's another officer, his utilization was an 8.8. There was 4 days out of 15 days that he worked that he didn't even write a citation. Just like say if you stop a car for speeding. You walk up to the car, the driver has got a suspended driver license and has no insurance. So the point system, I won't call it points, but we're calling it points because it's numbers. So you have a traffic stop with the 2 citations, you got speed and insurance, that's 2 points. You got a report, which is 1.5. Now you got the state cite, which is 2. So you can add points. I mean, he's at 5.5 on one stop. It takes you about 30 minutes. So you got 7.5 hours to go. So it's not, those numbers are real lenient. You have to keep checking balances with police officers because you don't want an officer to go out and sit 8 hours and do nothing. I mean, it's not right. I mean, you need to be enforcing the laws and protecting the citizens that travel on these streets. I've offered to talk to anyone about this situation. I stand behind it, and I feel good about it. It's fair, and I will stand behind it. What you do, you take all of the points that you add up, and I'll give you an example. Let's see. I had an officer had 48 dispatch calls, which that came out to 24 points. He had in the reports he had 23 points because it's 1.5. So I think he came out to had 15 reports. For the month he had 31 citations. He had 8 state cites. That's where you're not taken to jail. You're just state cited and you're released. You have to go book yourself in. And then he had 5 arrests, which is 3 points each. That totaled out to 101. He worked 19 days. So you take those 19 days and divide it into 101 and you come out with 5.3. That's the one that 6 days during those 19 days he never wrote a citation.
If they're receiving any kind of a score based on writing out, let's encapsulate it into the ticket category, if their productivity or measurement is in any way based on writing out a ticket, does that not encourage them to write a ticket? And could there ever be a scenario where an officer may write a ticket or a series of tickets in order to make the quota? How would you know they would never do that?
They do reports, just like I explained to you today. The officer that's here today has not written 1 citation, and he's at 4.5, and he still has 4.5 hours to go on his shift.
So you're citing the example of an officer who has not written out any tickets, apparently is not feeling pressured and is not being reprimanded or fired as a result of not writing the tickets.
Our city attorney has looked at it, and you don't have to write a citation to get your points. I mean, that's part of police officer's job, and it's a bad situation when you cite someone, but you have to make sure the streets are safe for everyone to travel. Y'all know yourself, we have a lot of accidents on 65 to 103, and we do enforce traffic enforcement. We get grants from the Governor's Highway Safety for that, so that is part of our job.
If you didn't write any tickets out at all, but you got high scores and everything else, you'd be fine.
You're fine.
So you don't have to do tickets at all.
You don't have to. I mean, just like take the officer today that had he had 2 reports and 3 calls. Well, that's 4.5. Really, and yesterday he was at, I think he was at 5.6. So he didn't have to do anything for the rest of the day. If you're looking at that situation, but when you come out, give 8 hours of work, and that's all I asked.
You got a whole month to get 5 points, is that correct?
That's right.
And essentially if one stop or a couple of reports or something, they can easily get into 5 or 8 or something like that.
Easy. And I understand there's going to be some days it's going to be slow. I understand that. That's why it's that low, the productivity. And some days you're going to get way higher than that. I have some officers that's made a lot of arrests during the day and got like 12 points. Well, is it right for that officer to come out tomorrow since we're using point system, that many to do nothing for the next, 2 or 3 days? I mean, it all equals out because you're going to have slow days. You're not going to come out here and bust it every day. It's not going to happen. But there's some days that you will.
Whatever reason, you're a good officer, he's met the point system for every month, and for whatever reason, everybody's obeying the traffic laws, nobody's speeding, he doesn't arrest anybody. What happens to that officer at the end of the month?
Well, he is still going to have calls because we have a lot of call volume here for service and do the reports. I understand. I mean, I will give you 4 months. I understand some months going to be slow, some months going to be busy. We have to do evaluations at the end of each year on every officer. And it's a check and balance to make sure he's doing his job. Because you, the taxpayer, wouldn't want to pay me to sit out here in my car on a cell phone all night for 8 hours and do nothing. You want to feel safe. Just like this month, we've had a total of 131 days worked. Out of those 131 days, multiplied by 8, that comes out to 1,048 hours. We've written 287 citations. That comes out to 1 citation every 3.6 hours. That's numbers. That's how I have to, in this test I have to figure how things are going. You just can't say an officer, I have 131 days work. Well, you have to multiply that by 8. Then that comes to that number. Then you take the citations that's written, then you divide that into that number, and that's how you come out with 3.6 hours of citation. That's one citation every 3.6 hours.
Just for clarification purposes, what Ronnie is saying there is that the officers need to average a total of 5 points per day. They are not required to write out a ticket in order to get their points. The points can be acquired through numerous other activities that they do, such as arrests and report writing. So even if they write out no tickets whatsoever, they can still meet their 5 point per day quota. Though officers are not required to write out traffic tickets, there are those that believe that assigning any kind of quota to either tickets or any kind of police action can lead to problems. Chief Williams also told Smokey that they tend to shy away from tickets in Millersville unless you're going above 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. In fact, he said his slogan is 10 you're fine, 11 you're mine.
You go in any other city and see if they give you 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We're pretty lenient, and I think, and we ride them all day long interstate, way over that. And I think that's fair. That's me. I mean, I try to treat everybody like I want to be treated. The citizens of Millersville should feel safe. We're a very proactive police department. We will make the streets safe for our children and our pedestrians that travel our streets.
Well, there you have it, Robertson County. And the chief also told me that he realizes that there are some that may want to give him a hard time for the type of system that he uses, but he says it works well for him. It's fair, and he has no plans on changing it. We'd also like to thank the chief for his time that he gave us today. There were 2 reporters sitting there all firing at him at the same time, so he did well with it and was happy to answer all of our questions. We'll put a copy of the 3-page letter if you'd like to see it for yourself below this video. This has been Jim Ball reporting for Smoky Barn News in Millersville.
I like to go ha, 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 ha. I like to go he, he, he. We have a lot of fun, my mouth and me.
I like to go. I like to go. I like to go.
Big City Dining in Springfield. Depot Bar and Grill.